All right, friends, I'm willing to bet if you know how to do only one country line dance, it's probably this.
Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart.
Achy Breaky Heart, Billy Ray Cyrus, sold millions. But in spite of his success as a musician and as an actor,
all I did was deliver a baby.
Billy Ray has at times had the life of a hurtin' song.
Now to see, it could have been me.
Raised in Flatwoods, Kentucky, lived in his car for a stretch, chased a career in country music, and finally hit it with Achy Breaky Heart. Then he faced the inevitable backlash. Plus, he gets to watch his daughter Miley face a backlash of her own.
Okay, I'm about to lose it now.
Through it all, Billy Ray's held on to two things: a letter he got from Johnny Cash and the faith planted in him by a gospel church upbringing. Billy Ray returns to those roots on a new album called Change My Mind.
Please welcome to the program, Billy Ray Cyrus. Hey, bud. How you doing, my man? Good to see you. Welcome. Hello. Fired up, sir. Hello. They're fired up.
All right, we've got a party crowd here.
They're ready for it, man.
It's awesome.
Congratulations on your new record.
Thank you.
I like when you bring some gospel and some bluegrass back into the sound. Is that just...
A little southern rock,
Yeah.
you know.
Totally, but stuff you grew up in. It sounds more like a record of a man who almost re-listened to the stuff he used to listen to as a kid.
Exactly right. You know, I grew up listening to a lot of Earl Scruggs, Bill Monroe, and then, you know, listening to some of my outlaw heroes like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and then combining that with some of my Skinner influence and Molly Hatchet and Marshall Tucker, Allman Brothers, and just wanted to make a record that encompassed all those roots, and that's what you get with Change My Mind.
Were you into Chris Christopherson and Willie and that stuff too?
Oh, big time.
What's interesting about those guys were outlaws in a sense. Like they found a home in mainstream country, and the audience that liked the mainstream country music also connected with them, but they never really felt like they were part of it. The highwaymen genuinely felt like outsiders.
Exactly.
You know, and could you identify with that in a sense?
Well, of course, you know, Johnny Cash was one of the highwaymen, and he wrote me a letter in 1992, you know, a handwritten letter from Johnny Cash.
No big deal, just whatever. Like, I get who your daughter is, and I get you at Achy Breaky Heart, but Johnny Cash wrote you a letter, bro.
Yeah, I know.
A handwritten letter?
A handwritten letter.
What's his penmanship like?
Really good.
Yeah?
It's a beautiful letter.
Oh, God. You sure it wasn't June that wrote it?
No.
Okay.
But it was, you know, it was just about, you know, first of all, just giving credit to, matter of fact, the letter says something like, you know, recently saw you in an interview giving credit to where credit is due, for all things that are good come from Almighty God above. And, you know, Johnny said it's good to be reminded of that. And then he went on to say, you reminded me of a friend of mine from the 50s named Elvis Presley, and blah, blah, blah. It's a little something there. And then he said, you know, as in your case, as in his, the good outweighs the bad. Let them have it. I'm in your corner.
You had a single that was enormous, and you had lots of fans and sold lots of records, but because Achy Breaky was so big, you had also tons of criticism. This was his way of saying, you're okay.
Oh, that meant a lot.
What was so interesting about, not to talk about you like you're not here, but that Billy Ray Cyrus moment was, there were a lot of guys who were in the music business who identified with you. Even Kurt Cobain had a moment with you, didn't he?
Kurt Cobain was a special friend, and I met him. It was backstage the first time. His crew was moving out, and my crew was moving into an arena somewhere, and we bumped into each other. And
that's quite a moment, right? I want to see that security camera footage of you walking in.
I want to see it too.
Yeah. So you saw him. Who said what?
He said, "Congratulations, man. You pissed the whole world off." I said, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate that." Yeah. And we stood there and talked just a little bit, and then a few months later, I saw him at an award show, and he was real excited that he had just had a little girl. And he said, you know, I saw you just had a little girl too, didn't you? And we talked about that we each had daughters. And sometimes I attribute Kurt Cobain a bit in possibly saving my life. It was around 1994 or so, and again, like everybody, I was out on tour at the time and turned on the news and found out that Kurt Cobain had died, and looked at it. It hit me pretty hard. I just thought about, you know, sometimes people in this business, you get on this rocket ride, and sometimes it's just tough to hang on. Sometimes you fall off, and kind of made me reevaluate my life a little bit, and I stepped back and said, you know, that first thing I need to do right now is I need to slow this ride down. I don't want to fall off. I want to stick around for my kids and be a good dad. And so I stepped down off the ride for a little while and just retreated back to my farm and taught my kids how to ride horses and roast wieners by the fire and ride four-wheelers and do all kinds of things that you're not supposed to do with your kids.
Right.
Taught them how to do every one, yeah.
What you're supposed to do for the family dynamic, right?
That's exactly. That's exactly.
So then what's it like when your little girl goes, yeah, guess what, Daddy, this is what I want to do? And you know what that rocket ride's like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for me, a lot of it started right here in Toronto because I was here doing my first series, Doc.
Yeah.
And
Doc is a really funny show.
Well, thank
Doc,
you.
My friends and I watched Doc, and we loved it. I mean, the hair was standing, and it had its moments.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But it was funny. You got a chance. It was a really heartwarming show.
Yeah, thank you. There was a time I was the only doctor in that white cape with a mullet. Yeah. And I wouldn't let my doctor work on me if he came up with that mullet. But anyway, that being said, I got to work with some great actors, and it was here in Toronto that Miley fell in love with acting and started working with some great coaches and started doing some episodes of Doc, and Toronto was a big part of...
Was it Mamma Mia you guys were at?
Yeah, we went to see Mamma Mia, and Miley, I guess, was about 8 years old at the time, and she nudged me and said, that's what I want to do, Daddy. At that time, you know, that's what I was kind of like, go get him, girl, you know, and later on, when Hannah Montana, you know, came around, and we had shot the pilot, and Disney picked up the pilot, and we knew we were going to move to L.A. Well, I'm a singer-songwriter, first and foremost. What I do to release my emotions is write a song. Miley had left for California. I looked and was in my house alone. My guitar's over there, and I picked it up and wrote a song called Ready, Set, Don't Go. And it's that moment of realizing that, you know, as a parent, sometimes you just got to let go, you know?
So it's kind of been a long, strange trip for you, hasn't it?
It's been an extremely strange ride for me.
You have to have a sense of humor to be able to handle some of that, right?
My goodness, you got to have a sense of humor.
Did you have to learn it? Did you always have it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd never thought of myself as a very funny person, you know? I sure never thought I would. But do you know, when I was in school, I was so ugly. No, seriously.
They laugh because it's impossible to believe.
No. This is a tragically true story. And one day, all the kids, I was in first grade, and the school went all the way to 8th grade. 8th graders are way bigger than first graders. And these 8th graders started making fun of me because I was so ugly. And I took off. I ran from my school, ran out the front door, and ran all the way to my house. And, you know, I started this thing called the nightly prayer. Every night I'd get down on my knees and I'd pray. Every night for years and years I'd pray, dear God, I know I'm ugly, but please, I know it's terrible, but please just make people think I'm funny when I grow up. And I don't know why I would say that, and I've never done anything funny to this day, so I don't know.
You're getting laughs now, bro. Just ride it.
Sympathy laughs.
Whatever it is.
Courtesy laughs.
It's still a laugh,
yeah,
right?
Thanks, man, thanks. But sometimes you do got to laugh about things, you know?
Has your faith ever been shaken?
Gosh, I hate to say it. It's a little bit shaken right now. To be honest, you know, you look at, well, look, I mean, look, see it? Faith, I got it. I don't know if you can even see it. See that tattoo right there?
I sure do.
That's supposed to say faith.
Yeah.
Of all my tattoos, believe. Everything else you can read, but that faith is blurry.
Yeah.
And I thought, of all the ones, the guy that did the sleeve was going to correct it. And I said, you know what? No, that's pretty perfect for my faith right now. My faith, I believe, and I have, my faith is, I have faith, but it's a little shaken, you know. It's a little shaken. I want to believe. I want to have faith, and I want everybody to, gosh, I want to see the world do good and people be happy, and I don't want to see kids be hungry, and I don't want to see people hating each other and killing each other, you know. But my faith is a little shaken, but I know I got to believe. Faith without works is dead, so I got to have faith.
Changed my mind. That's the record. Billy Ray Cyrus, everybody.